Hi, I am Tony Russo, and this is Brief Introduction from Kates-Boylston, where we talk to people about what they do and why they do it. In this episode, we are speaking with Scott Sheehan. He is the general manager at Evergreen Washelli Memorial Park, which was one of the 2025 ACE Award runners-up. ACE stands for American Cemetery Excellence Award. Anyway, we have a great conversation about, kind of what they do over there and a little bit of the history of the cemetery and, of course, how Scott got to his position. And let's just talk to Scott, and I will catch you on the other side. So, first of all, congratulations. I think it is well worth it, this recognition. But before we talk about what you did and how you did it, let's talk about who you are and why you do what you do. So, how did you come to get your position? How did you get into the business, and how did you get to where you are in the business?
Well, thank you, Tony. I'll give you, I guess, the Reader's Digest condensed version. But I started in the business in Montana, Southwest Montana, Butte, Montana. And I was in high school, fairly young in high school, when I started working at a funeral home, helping out everything from washing cars to shoveling the snow off the sidewalks, etc. And very fortunate for me, I knew at that time that funeral service would be my career in my future.
Oh.
And never wavered too much from that. I've had the great opportunity to do a variety of things within our profession. But it all started back when I was fairly young, and I've been now here at Evergreen Washelli. I guess I'm in about my 28th year.
Wow. And just real quick, so you're a first-generation funeral director.
I am.
So there is this, I was just writing about this morning for a different funeral director, but I forgot about, do you think, how much do you think the cars have to do with it? The number of gentlemen that I speak with that are like, I was washing the cars, and then the next thing I know, I was cutting the grass, and the next thing I know, I was a funeral director.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of funny you say that, because as a kid, I grew up as a around a car guy. My dad was a car guy, so cars were always a part of my world. But as I talked to some folks from when I was in junior high, and I guess I don't have the memory of that, but they recall me talking about funeral service even at that time frame.
Wow.
And I had to do a term paper on death and dying, or I guess what you would call a paper on death and dying, when I was in high school. And my dad recommended that I go up to the funeral home and I talked to George, who was the funeral director, and he probably knew something about it. And that's where it started. And then they were the ones that said, well, do you need a little extra work? Because we need help on this and that. So it was just like every funeral director story. It was cleaning up flowers, and then I got to help out on a funeral here and there. I got to deliver things. But yeah, it was always, at that time, we had 4 limousines and 2 coaches, or 2 hearses. So of course, they all needed washing. If you're in Southwest Montana, you need to wash the cars a lot. So I think the cars somewhere along the way did have something to do with it, Tony.
And let's talk about cemeteries in general really quick, because there is, mortuary school, and I'm sure they touch on cemeteries, but a lot of running a cemetery, you learn by running a cemetery. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. When I first came to Evergreen Washelli, I managed the funeral operations, and really the depth of my background was in funeral service as a funeral director and an embalmer. And then I began working very, very closely with our ownership at the time, and I delved deeper and deeper into the cemetery side. And of course, once that bug bites you, I think that it becomes a part of who you are. So you're right. A cemeterian often is learning, every day, just by experience, working with families, working with the organizations, working with the knowledge of funeral service combined with cemeteries. So that's where it started. And then I got heavily onto the cemetery side, and eventually took over the role as a general manager for both funeral and cemetery operations for our company, for this location.
And what do you think is the most, I don't want to say difficult, but when you're the thing that is least like running a funeral home that running a cemetery is?
I guess one of the things I have thought for many years, and that is that as funeral directors, we tend to think and behave in fairly short-term increments,
Mm,
meaning that our world is often focused in a 3 to 5 day period of time, from a death to caring for the family to the arrangements to making sure everything's perfect for the funeral. Cemeterians, I learned early on, have to think in terms of 50, 70, 100 years. When they make a decision, they have to be thinking way down the road. They have to even look around the corner that you can't see to try to figure out, how does this impact us in design, in development, in layout of property. So it's a much longer view. It's a longer lens you have to use on the cemetery side. And I would think, to a certain extent, I feel that's dynamically different.
mm. Well, I thought very much the same thing, just trees alone, just in my own house. I'm like, well, do I want to put this tree up? And putting a tree up is, it's not like having a kid, but it's not like having a kid. It's like, well, once you put it up, it's there forever and you have to deal with it. And, when you're trying to build a cemetery, well, maintain a cemetery, making these, like you say, these little adjustments, you don't know. I mean, you have to take into account how they're going to hold up in the long term. It's not something you can do quickly.
No, you're spot on, Tony. I give you a great example. We have giant poplar trees that surround our property, and at one time there was well north of 200 of those.
Mm.
And in 1918, 1920, when they were planted, it was this beautiful idea to have these majestic tall trees that would create a little bit of a windbreak, and they would look very majestic surrounding, until about they hit the age of anywhere from 70 to 100 years, and they start hitting end of life. Now you've got 200 to 300 trees that together collectively are deciding, well, we think we're done.
Yes.
And my view of trees certainly changes as we begin to figure out how that, the expense of taking the trees down, replanting, all of those things. But you're absolutely right. Trees are an interesting item.
And so when you decided that you wanted to submit the cemetery for the American Cemetery Excellence Award, what were the things that you felt like really made it stand out and really made your cemetery different?
Well, I guess the things that maybe don't make it as different, but I have a great respect for history, and I look back at the history of the cemetery and the way that it came into to be, and I look at the care and the effort and the work that for generations that went on before me. I simply am a caretaker.
Mm.
What those that have already done all of that heavy lifting and the development and the thought, they saw into the future. And when I think of that, and then I think of the team that we've been so fortunate to build and all the creativity that they use and the innovation over the years, that's what made us think we really should get our name in the hat, because we're so proud of what we've accomplished. And the minute I say that, I can turn right around and say, and yet we have so much more to do, so much more work to do. But respecting the work and the teamwork and the innovation, the creativity that we've done, I felt like it's worth making sure that the team is recognized for that, because it's pretty special.
You have this huge glass structure that is just so stunning. Can you tell me about what that is and what it's doing there and how you kind of use it to accent the cemetery?
Yeah, and I think you're referring to what we would call Chimes Tower.
Yes.
That sits right in the midst of the Washelli Veterans Memorial Cemetery, which is a section within our cemetery. And that came to being back in about 1927. The general manager at the time was a Spanish-American War veteran, and he got together with some other Spanish-American War vets, and they said, we need a place in this cemetery that is going to honor and remember all of our veterans. And because that was obviously very important to them. And so they decided to create a section for the Veterans Memorial Cemetery. And part of that design, which it took them many years to accomplish, was they wanted kind of a special, significant tower or some kind of symbolism, and they created what we today call Veterans Tower, Vets Tower.
Mm.
And it was a Carillion tower. And then the different branches of the service and organizations could have windows in it, and they would put their representation, Marines and organization and Navy and Army, all of those things. And so it became a symbolism, kind of a beacon of light, if you will, that sits up on that hill. So people that drive by on one of the busy streets here in Seattle called Aurora Avenue, as folks would go by, it was always kind of a beacon that would draw your attention to those 5,000 white markers that we have now throughout Vet section.
It is really stunning. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you decide what events to have and when?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I'll just mention, because you had talked about the Vets section, and that section had been filled for now a number of decades, where they inadvertently kind of landlocked themselves when they developed it in a space. But one of the things we were able to do in the past 2 years is that we took Veterans Tower, which was basically an empty room inside where they could do small services. And now we've created an entirely new opportunity with niches, glass front, exterior, granite fronts, so that we can finally now still have another place for our veterans to be placed in and amongst their brothers and sisters, where for decades we couldn't. So developing that was quite a process and quite a project. So that ties into our veteran service, for example, that we have. We have both our veterans and our Memorial Day service that is surrounded in that area, because it brings to light honoring the veterans, everybody who served, and of course, all of those that have died as well. Those are a couple of big events that we do every day or every year, and receive quite a bit of recognition, a lot of activity. We have the kids out, all the scout troops and leaders, and it is so fun to watch, because they will place north of 5,000 to 7,000 flags, and the first 5,000 will be placed in about 25 minutes, because we have so many kids and so many volunteers that come out, and it's a beautiful part of the day. It's really fun to see them honor all of our veterans that way. Then we've created a handful of other things. Recently, over the past 3 years, our Dia de Muertos service has turned out to be really a big event that we've created, and we work with the cemetery and the funeral home combined with that. We've done jazz in the park. We've done things like that, where we have kind of the non-traditional side of things to bring folks into the park.
Right.
We work with the apiary group where they house their bees, and now over the past few years, we've been very active in that community.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we have a lot of beehives here on site, and they just love the environment. We were able to use some land that had not been used, and it was wooded and kind of private. And so we've done things like that. Just today, as a matter of fact, here in our managers meeting, we're going to develop a relationship with a Seattle crew that they're going to start bringing out things like bird watching groups, and then some folks that really like to study trees and like to see the variety. We have a massive variety of trees on the park. So we try to take the things that people enjoy about the cemetery. And that was, think back 100 years ago.
Yeah.
See pictures of folks coming out. They brought their lunch pails. They came out and visited. There was a special place to be. We really want to introduce that side of it to today's community and today's families, to say it is very much a part of their world, their life, because we will forever take care of their loved ones. So it's been a variety of different activities like that we've really had fun being able to try to cultivate and do to make it a good place for folks to come and be a part of us.
Well, that is excellent. And I guess I should tell you that this will likely come out on the 12th. So it is the 6th as we're recording it. And so you'll be too tired to listen on the 12th, but it'll also still be out on the 13th.
No, it's great. I feel extraordinarily fortunate. I give absolutely all the credit to the team that surrounds me, because they're the ones that really, they're the magic. They make it happen. And our company has been so incredibly supportive of all of these things that we've wanted to do. They've done nothing but lift us up and try to propel us forward. So the company has been amazing about that.
Fantastic. And that's all I have for you, unless you have something for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
Well, no, you know what'll happen, Tony, is of course, about 11 o'clock tonight, I'll be sitting there and thinking, why didn't I say this? But no, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the call and being able to be a part of your podcast. So thank you very much. We appreciate it greatly.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
All right. Have a great day.
See, I told you it'd be a great chat. If you haven't picked up the November issue of American Cemetery and Cremation, I would make the effort. There are some great photos in there. And of course, it is all available online if you'd like to subscribe. And as a matter of fact, in the holiday special that we are running, American Cemetery and American Funeral Director are each $12 a year for the subscription, and Funeral Service Insider, the newsletter, is $99. You can visit Kates-Boylston.com for more information. And Brief Introduction has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. And of course, check out the show notes. There's plenty going on over on Kates-Boylston.com. We've got some more great episodes coming out of Funeral Service Insider. I've got most of December recorded, and I think it's going to be a pretty good month. So check that out as well, and I will check in with you next time.